I think it's the same issues, and it's not specific only, I think, to the Hispanic community. It's also true about my Portuguese community, about communities that are newer to the province. The Hispanic community is a community that is growing. There's over 400,000 Hispanics in the province of Ontario. 10,000 of them live here in the riding of Davenport. It's a community that's growing and is seeing changes within its own community. So the immigration we're seeing today from the Hispanic countries, the Latino countries, is very different from what we saw before. So you're having people face situations where they are have bachelor's degrees from their countries, and they're trying to now establish themselves here in Ontario. And how do they make that engineering degree work here? How do they make that law degree work here? So we're trying to integrate into the community that way. You still have many other people that are coming that perhaps don't have the higher skills or university diplomas or degrees, but find it sometimes difficult to integrate into the community. So us as a province, we offer many programs for the newcomers to ensure that they settle into the community. So English as a second language is one of the programs that we offer to newcomers to the province of Ontario to ensure that their integration into the community is rapid. The key challenges of the community. It's a community that's in transition, I think. It's growing. Again, this sense of, and I've been working with the Hispanic community now for a number of years, this sense of, the older generation having to come because of some prosecution in their own countries and trying to run away from that. So a different type of immigrant than what we're seeing today. And perhaps the integration of those two types of people, even if they've come from the same country, perhaps is a bit of a challenge sometimes within that community. Not unique to the Hispanic community. Again, I see that in my Portuguese community as well. Some of the other challenges that I know and I hear of is them wanting to be perhaps more civically engaged, and how do they do that? Or to have someone who is of true Hispanic descent to be at Queen's Park. So the community has adopted me as being the Latina voice at Queen's Park, but to really have someone like that and to really have an influence on some of the things that our government does on a day-to-day basis. So again, a challenge that I've heard from the community and wanting to be involved politically as well. Strengths, many strengths, many strengths. So as much as I said that, we currently do not have someone at the provincial level to represent the community, we still have a very dynamic, still very engaged and energized community, a community that has contributed economically, culturally to our province. We have many successful businesses that are owned by the Hispanic Latino community here in Toronto and beyond, and we need to be very proud for the contributions that that community has made to our province economically. It might be, and I say this because I know this might be part of it from my Portuguese community, and we tend to be very similar that way. There may have been some political oppression in the countries back home where it wasn't seen as something that people normally did to go out and vote. So the level of political engagement, even from within their country of origin, may have been very low. Here specifically, that may have carried through, where that mentality is still the same here. But I think part of the lack of involvement is, you have to be a Canadian citizen to vote. So I'm not sure what the numbers are in terms of people that hold Canadian citizenship to be able to vote. Perhaps English is not, it's obviously not their first language, so the lack of understanding what needs to happen. The importance of voting is very critical, that people understand that, and perhaps we haven't done as good of a job as a government to be able to instill that into whether it's the Hispanic community or even into my community. So my role is to ensure that people are aware that they have a door open here in my office, that they're able to come, and if they have any questions to ask about whether it's a new policy, a new piece of legislation, some rules that are changing in the provincial government, I know that we communicate that to the Hispanic media. And hopefully they're doing their part as well to ensure that the community is informed. But I think that having us perhaps convey the messages more within the community in Spanish is a strong way to achieve perhaps the results that we're talking about in terms of getting people more involved. So another way that people can get involved, and I said this yesterday at an International Women's Day event I was at with the Hispanic community, is to volunteer. My office is open here if people want to come and find out how do we do things, why are things done a certain way. There's opportunities for people to volunteer, and soon we're going to be entering election time. So if not my office, there's many offices across the province where I think it's a great opportunity for people to start to get engaged, to call the constituents that are Spanish speaking, to translate a message, to fold leaflets, whatever it is, to get engaged that way. So there are many opportunities where people can get involved. It's a matter of communicating them and people being receptive to that. I mean, what we have seen is a greater increase in people from the U.S. wanting to come to Canada from all backgrounds, not just the Hispanic community. There continues to be an increase in international students wanting to choose Canada over other countries where things may not necessarily be as stable or as a result of what Mr. Trump has said. But I think that as a province, we will continue to invest in our newcomers, and we will always continue to welcome those from every country here in Ontario. We saw that with the Syrian refugees, where we saw us as a province accept a large number of the Syrian refugees here to the province of Ontario, and ensuring that we had, it's not just opening the doors and say welcome, but ensuring that we're investing in the correct programs to ensure that they would integrate into our society quick enough, because the sooner they integrate, then the quicker they're able to give back. So when I speak about the newcomer settlement agencies that we have, ensuring that there are programs in place for the newcomers that comes, and that means obviously for the Hispanic, the Mexican community, any community coming to Ontario will always be welcome here in the province of Ontario. I think that I can speak from perhaps experience as an immigrant myself, and I was very young when I came, but I know that perhaps the dream of any immigrant is to come and find a better life for themselves and for their children. I know that's what my parents strived for when they immigrated many years ago, and I think that continues to be at the core of why many people do choose to live and choose Canada as a country to live and to come to. There might be impolitical stability in some countries, so they find that stability here in Canada. What do they find? Very cold weather like today. I think that they find it very welcoming. I've had the opportunity to meet many people within the Hispanic community and outside, to people that are recent immigrants, recent people to Canada, to Ontario, and find that we're actually very warm people, very welcoming. And one of the things that they always comment to me on is the ability of so many different cultures. They call it a mini United Nations here. You know, we have so many different people, so many different cultures and religions and backgrounds, that and how wonderful it is to see all these people living so well together. And I think that image is even louder these days given what's going on south of the border. So I think that they find a country of opportunity where, you know, if you're able to work, to receive the education, that there are many, many opportunities here. And the province is trying to make that easier for people that come to Canada. recognizing that, you know, you might come and not necessarily be at the pay scale that you were at before, or that, you know, at the end of the day, you can't be the engineer yet that you were back home and you have to do other jobs. This year we introduced a change to the Ontario Student Assistant Program. So there's a new OSAP program that starting September 1st of this year, families whose net income is $50,000 or less, the children are able to go to university tuition almost free. So that is huge. That is huge because we're helping those that perhaps thought that there wasn't a possibility for them actually get the high-skilled education to be able to get that high, or the high-level education to get the high-skilled jobs. Well, I think that we need to make sure that the community continues to be engaged. I try to do my part. We try to recognize the importance of the Hispanic community. I'm very proud that my first piece of law was to declare October as Hispanic Heritage Month. So for 2 years, we have now officially recognized the Hispanic community here in Ontario to thank them for their contributions to the province. As I said, just to continue to engage the community overall to ensure that one day we do have someone at the federal and at the provincial level to represent the community. And until such time, I'm so happy and feel so humbled that the community has given me that responsibility to represent them. So I'm very happy with that. But I'm confident, given what I've seen within the community and the people that I've spoken to, that that truly is a desire, and I think that is one that I'm willing to support and to help achieve.